Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Today we'll read Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28. Today is text 25. You have verses there? Or what? I mean, I don't think it's ready, right? If you can, you can. It's 3:28:25. Nabhiradam bhuvanakosha guhodarashtam yatratmayo nidishnanai kilaloka padmam vyudham harinmani vrishas thanayoramushya Jayadvayam Vishadahaраmayukagoram Nabhirdam Bhuvanakosha Gudharastam Yatratmayo Nidishnaihi Loka Padmam Vyudham Harin Manivrishastanayoramushya Tyayadvayam Vishadahaраmayukagoram. Someone can chant. Bhuvanakosha guhavastam Ladies? Okay. Nabhi Hradam, Nabhi Hradam, the navel lake, Bhuvanakosha, of all the worlds, Guha, the foundation, Udara, on the abdomen, Stham, situated, Yatra, where, Atmayoni, of Brahma, Dishana, residence, Akila Loka, containing all planetary systems, Padmam, lotus, Yudham, sprang up, Haditmani, like emeralds, Vrisha, most exquisite, Sthanayo, of nipples, Amushya, of the Lord, Dhyayayet, he should meditate on, Dvayam, the pair, Vishada, white, Hara, of pearl necklaces, Mayuka, from the light, Gauram, whitish. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: the yogi should then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel, which is the foundation of the entire universe, sprang the lotus stem containing all the different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds, and which appear whitish because of the rays of the milk-white pearl necklaces adorning his chest. I think we'll just go right to purport. Purport. You repeat the translation? That's okay. Okay, purport. The yogi is advised next to meditate upon the navel of the Lord, which is the foundation of all material creation. Just as a child is connected to his mother by the umbilical cord, so the firstborn living creature Brahma, by the supreme will of the Lord, is connected to the Lord by a lotus stem. In the previous verse, it was stated that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, who engages in massaging the legs, ankles, and thighs of the Lord, is called the mother of Brahma. But actually, Brahma is born from the abdomen of the Lord, not from the abdomen of his mother. These are inconceivable conceptions of the Lord, and one should not think materially, how can a father give birth to a child? It is explained in the Brahma Samhita that each limb of the Lord has the potency of every other limb. Because everything is spiritual, his parts are not conditioned. The Lord can see with his ears, The material ear can hear, but not see. But we understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Lord can also see with his ears and hear with his eyes. Any organ of the transcendental body can function as any other organ. His abdomen is the foundation of all the planetary systems. Brahma holds the post of the creator of all planetary systems, but his engineering energy is generated from the abdomen of the Lord. Any creative function in the universe always has a direct connecting link with the Lord. The necklace of pearls, which decorates the upper portion of the Lord's body, is also spiritual. And therefore the yogi is advised to gaze at the whitish luster of the pearls decorating his chest. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vancha Kalvatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation repeated. The yogi should then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel, which is the foundation of the entire universe, sprang the lotus stem containing all the different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds, and which appear whitish because of the rays of the milk-white pearl necklaces adorning his chest. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing Kapila's instructions on devotional service, and as Ram Roy Prabhu mentioned yesterday, it's very direct. It's very practical, very tangible to meditate on the Lord's form. At the same time, there's quite a procedure. There's preliminary principles to help one meditate. So this is what sadhana bhakti is. The goal is to meditate on the Lord's form. But generally our mind is too disturbed to do that. Our process is just to chant Hare Krishna and hear. But it's very hard for us to do that simple thing, isn't it? It's practically too hard. At one place, Prabhupada says, actually chanting the names of Gaur Nityananda is more important in this age because they're more merciful. So we need all the help we can get. Why? Just to allow us to enter into actually the soul. To come in contact with our true self and with the Lord who lives in the heart. So sadhana bhakti is the means by endeavoring to control our restless mind and senses. We can come to a point of consciousness where we can actually do meditation. Here the yogi is meditating on this beautiful transcendental form of the Lord. And we need something beautiful to meditate on, you know. If it's not beautiful, it won't inspire you, it won't attract you. You won't be inspired to constantly try to remember that object. So the beauty of the Lord is something that perpetually inspires one, the meditator. One gets ever and ever new desire to meditate because the object is so exquisite. And actually it's out of this world. That's why we need descriptions, because on our own we could not conceive of something so extraordinary. So therefore Kapil Dev is teaching anga by anga, limb by limb, all the different aspects of the Lord's form. They're so deep. in the Lord's body, we heard that every limb can perform the function of every other limb, but all the limbs of the Lord, they're very, we could say, esoteric. They have so many volumes of realization that can be gleaned out of any aspect of the Lord's form. And this is why very gradually the yogi progresses, starting from the feet. Just like on the lotus feet, there's so many symbols. They all have very profound meanings. That by meditating on, one is inspired, one is enlightened, one is ultimately attracted. This is what Krishna means, the all-attractive one. So we just need to bring our mind to Krishna. We need to hear the forms of the Lord, the descriptions of the Lord, the activities, especially the pastimes. It will capture our heart, and it will attract us to Him rather than what we see in this material realm, which is really the reflection. So this is mentioning how Brahma, he's the first created being. He actually comes from this lotus navel. So sometimes it's a question, does God have a navel? Because he didn't come from anyone else. He's self-existent. But we say yes, Padma Nabha. Nabha is the navel, Padma. So the Lord has a navel just like a lotus. And in this form of Vishnu, he lies down, and from his navel actually comes something extraordinary, which is the source of this whole material universe, the whole material manifestation actually, a lotus flower. So this is very elaborately and nicely explained in Sri Brahma Samhita. I'll just share a few verses because, again, it's very incredible, and we need incredible things in our life. When Vishnu was lying in the ocean of milk, when Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden lotus with its stem is the abode of Brahma, representing Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. By conglomerating all those separate entities, he manifested the innumerable mundane universes and himself entered into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate. At that time, those jivas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened. So this is the process of creation. The same jiva is eternal and is for eternity and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by the tie of an eternal kinship. He is transcendental spiritual potency. The divine lotus, which springs from the navel pit of Vishnu, is in every way related by the spiritual tie with all souls, and is the origin of four-headed Brahma, versed in the four Vedas. So the source of origin, we all have this source of origin. The material bodily concept of life, we think of our origin in terms of our material body, our parents, and nowadays in biology they'll teach you where the first human beings came from. We're trying to trace out our origin. But here in Bhāgavatam we learn, no, our real origin, it comes from Krishna. Ham sarvasya prabhavo. I have this eternal tie of kinship with the Lord. That's what we've forgotten. And so that's the process of rediscovering who we are, how we are eternally connected with the Lord. And Brahma had quite an interesting experience when he was given this service. What happened? On coming out of the lotus, Brahma, being guided by the divine potency, turned his mind to the act of creation, but he could see nothing but darkness in every direction. Very mystical, right? He's alone. All he hears is the waves. So also in this material world, we find ourselves alone. We come into this world alone. We don't know where we came from. Suddenly you have these people telling you, I'm your father, I'm your mother, we're your family, we're your friends. But the jiva if he's still unenlightened, he doesn't know his real source. Pitaham asya jagato. Krishna says, I'm the father. Yeah. Pitahamasya jagato matadhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitra omkara. So Krishna's the father, the mother, the grandfather. He's everything for us. Krishna's everything for the jiva. But we turn our consciousness away from everything somehow. By the power of Maya, in the lives of the pure devotees and in the spiritual world, we see Krishna's the life of all that lives. What is that? I'm the life of all that lives. So, in the spiritual world, in the perfect state, the soul is obsessed with their relationship with God. They're obsessed with Krishna. They're living on a platform of complete absorption. They don't turn their consciousness away for one moment because they're getting so much nectar from that relationship. They're feeling completely fulfilled. So that's devotional service. That's bhakti. That's on the spontaneous level. They don't have to be told, you have to. No, they want to. They've realized, they've passed over, in one sense, the injunction that you need to know. They realize, no, I want. This is who I am. This is my eternal nature. Jiva Krishna. I'm the eternal servant. So descriptions of Radha and Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan, Navadvip Dham, all these are meant to help inspire, gradually awaken this natural desire to serve. I need to serve. I can't live how can I live without being who I am? So Brahma here he found himself in darkness, and then what happened? He received from the divine Saraswati this Kama Gayatri mantra. And he was told, this will assuredly fulfill your heart's desire. Practice spiritual association by means of this mantra, then all your desires will be fulfilled. So similarly, then we receive mantra. If one is tata jigyasu, inquisitive, then they approach a spiritual master, Dao Shraddha. They receive instructions from him, receive mantra. They begin the process, and by chanting this mantra, this is what they receive, this is the whole process. By receiving mantra, all of that divine recollection is established. Then, Gayatri, being made manifest, imparted by the divine sound of the flute of Sri Krishna, entered the lotus mouth of Brahma. The lotus-born Brahma, having received the Gayatri, attained the status of the twice-born, having been initiated by the supreme primal preceptor, Godhead himself. So he receives Brahman Gayatri initiation directly by Krishna through the flute. And it's mentioned by Bhaktisiddhanta here that this is the real second initiation, the second birth, when one enters the spiritual realm. They're really being born again. They're taking birth in the spiritual world. So, just a little more, because what happens next is Brahma then, why we have this? Because Brahma then spoke Sri Brahma Samhita, beautiful prayers. And what is this verse? It says, Venum Kvanvantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham. I worship Govinda, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyamasundar is eternally manifest. So then he gets darshan of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, and he gets to see this beautiful form that we're hearing about. And this verse is mentioning specifically transcendental rays of the milk-white pearl necklaces adorning his chest. So I found it very fascinating, also a little description of this certain necklaces that the Lord wears. In certain books of the Goswamis it's explained, of course we know in the spiritual world everything is transcendental and personal. So the divine ornaments of the Lord, they're also persons. And for example, the Alwars in the South Indian tradition, Sri tradition, they're understood to be different incarnations of the Lord's weapons. So, everything in Goloka Vrindavan, everything is personal, and these are extremely powerful transcendental entities, these different ornaments that the Lord wears, one of which is the famous Kaustubha gem. I found something very fascinating about this Kaustubha gem because it's related here, and we'll see in the next few verses that these pearls on the neck of the Lord, they're considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in His service. So these ornaments of the Lord, they have very deep meanings also. For example, in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, it said, because by its essence, its light, the Kaustubha is the shelter of all jivas. The Kaustubha gem defeats the rising sun and moon and pervades the universe with its redness. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the Kaustubha is the tattva of Jiva Shakti. The Kaustubha represents the unlimited rays or jivas. And later in Bhāgavatam, upon his chest the almighty unborn Bhagavan Hari wears the Kaustubha gem, which represents the pure spirit soul. So, very fascinating. This mystical Kaustubha gem is described as actually shelter of the living entities. And that's a big subject that one can research on when they have time. And there's a very incredible pastime about this that we're going to read. But at the end, towards the end, because it's given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and very powerful form of remembrance. So this is a few points that struck me about the navel and the chest of the Lord. Today, as we know, also is an extraordinarily special day, the disappearance of Jayadev Goswami. So I thought we could also discuss a little about Jayadev Goswami, who is a greatly blessed, fortunate, internal, confidential associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna. Does anyone know which book Jayadev Goswami authored? Not you. Anyone know which book Jayadev Goswami authored? Jayadev Goswami? Gita Govinda. Yes, this is a very extraordinarily incredible book. And this is also where we get the Dasavatara Stotram. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jajagadisha Hare. This is coming from Jayadev Goswami, where he glorifies the Dasavataram. That's in the beginning of Gita Govinda. So a little bit about Jayadev Goswami. He appeared 300 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he brought this ecstatic love of Godhead. But this was in the heart of certain poets before him, like Jayadev Goswami. This ecstatic emotions were manifesting. They were inviting, bringing, preceding the Lord's direct manifestation. So Jayadev lived in Navadvip during the reign of Lakshman Sen, who was the king of Bengal at that time. And this king liked to hear this Dasavataram Stotra, these prayers that Jayadev composed. So he asked him to live in the palace. But Jayadev was very renounced. He said, no, I don't want to live in the palace, but I prefer to live in Jagannath Puri. So the king said, I'll build you a beautiful place, since you like a secluded place, in Champakahati. This you can visit in Mayapur. And this was known as Champakahata because there was an associate of Mahaprabhu, Dvija Baninath. Back in Satya Yuga, he received actually darshan of Mahaprabhu. He received vision of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his consciousness, whose skin was the color of a champa flower. So this is actually where Jayadev had a vision of first Radha Madhava, and then their combined form as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Maybe you can just tap in. So first, as he received the darshan of Radha Madhav, then he actually saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord told him to go to Jagannath Puri, and there he was also engaged as the king's poet. So there he spent the rest of his life in the abode of Lord Jagannath, and this is where he wrote Gita Govinda, and nowadays still this is read to Lord Jagannath, the Gita Govinda. And Mahaprabhu told Jayadev that after appearing there, he would take sannyas and go to Jagannath Puri, where he would relish the Gita Govinda. So this is extraordinary that Mahaprabhu, he takes the greatest pleasure in relishing the works of his devotees. He empowers his devotees and then he relishes their books, teachings, just like Rupa Goswami also. He empowers Rupa Goswami and then he tastes their teachings. So incredible pastime related to Gita Govinda. One time while writing this book, Jayadev Goswami was not feeling confident to write a certain passage wherein Radharani's supreme position is kind of eclipsing Krishna's position. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, but he was hesitant to write something wherein that position might be seemingly diminished by Krishna touching the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So he wasn't sure about writing this, so he put his pen down, he went to take bath in the Ganges. And when he came back, he was very surprised. Does anyone know why? His wife at the time, he said, okay, I'll take prasad now. And she said, you already took prasad. He said, what are you talking about? No, I just went to take bath in Ganges, now I'll take my meal. And she explained what happened, that while he was away, someone came who looked exactly like him, worked on his manuscript, and then took prasad, and then left. At this point, Jayadev Goswami just started crying in ecstasy, and he realized Krishna himself personally came to complete this certain passage that he was unwilling to perform. And he told his wife, you're so fortunate, you got direct darshan of the Lord. You got to feed him with your own hand. And she was under the Lord's yoga maya. She thought, this is my husband. Actually, this was Krishna. So what was that section that the Lord personally incarnated to explain? He completed the verse with the line, Dehi pada pallava mudaram, wherein it said, Krishna bows down his head to the lotus feet of Sri Radha. So Radha is the internal energy, and Krishna himself is conquered by love. So Krishna himself, in this passage, he bows to Srimati Radharani, and Krishna said, don't be shy, you can write this. This is the Lord's glory, actually, to be conquered by love. So, being a very intimate associate of Mahaprabhu is also our line. Although we chant the Mahamantra, we always precede it with Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasari Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. And I was recently in Mayapur, and I was meditating on a very powerful book. Ram Roy Prabhu mentioned yesterday, Prabodhananda Saraswati, and he's written one book, Chaitanya Chandramrita, which is a glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, just to appreciate the mood of someone who's received the mercy of Mahaprabhu, what is it like for them? What are their thoughts? What are their activities? What are their desires? So all these are contained in their books. And I'll read just a few verses, take the opportunity to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's very important for us to hear this. If we don't hear about the beauty of, just like we're hearing about the beauty of the Supreme Lord Narayan's form, and we hear about Krishna's form, we need to hear about Mahaprabhu's transcendental form also, his beautiful navel, the beautiful garland on his chest. And this will explain also why. He says, let me offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Chaitanya Chandra, whose face is as splendid as millions of moons, and whose smile is as charming as moonlight. He is like a moon that has just risen from the ocean of the bliss of pure love for Lord Krishna. So we approach Radha and Krishna, but how is Krishna Prema distributed? It's through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should never forget this. O Lord Chaitanya Chandra, By devotedly serving your lotus feet, one can attain the pure love for Lord Krishna that is the ultimate goal of all endeavors. O Lord Chaitanya Chandra, O great auspiciousness of the world, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So, please allow me, I'll read a few verses of this. Even once seeing Lord Gaura's handsome face, which is overcome with feelings of love of Krishna, and which has blossoming lotus eyes filled with a great flood of tears, a person becomes maddened with newer and newer feelings of devotional love. He never abandons the ocean of sweetness that is Lord Gaura's feet. Those who got to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he came, if they got to receive that darshan, they couldn't get it out of their heart. They couldn't forget. Once they saw Lord Chaitanya, they could not forget him. He conquers their heart. So these are the very fortunate jivas getting direct darshan of, as we said, their source, their origin, the origin of everything. Krishna himself comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu simply to distribute this Krishna consciousness. Okay, here's one more. And here's his beautiful poetry also. His mood is coming. Watered with nectar, a stone will never sprout a single blade of grass. Carefully stretched out, a dog's tail will never become straight. A man may reach out his arms as much as he likes, but he will never grasp the moon. A man may follow all the rituals of ordinary religion, but without the mercy of Lord Gaura, he will never attain the festival of ecstatic love for Lord Krishna. So we can never forget. This is the importance of meditating on Mahaprabhu, Navadvip, Mayapur, to remind us. Srila Prabhupada wanted devotees to come every year to the Mayapur festival. To remind us Mahaprabhu's mercy is the only way. Okay, just a few more here. O foolish mind. That's a deep point in of itself. O foolish mind, please take shelter of Lord Gauranga, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is hidden from the view of the Vedas, and who with his own transcendental potency plunged the entire world into the great nectar ocean of love for the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And one more here. So it's not a very long book, and there's different sections. Okay, this is the last one. This is one of my favorites. This is a quotation. I have no power to understand the path of Krishna Bhakti, which makes one averse to impersonal speculation and non-devotional yoga. And I have no contact with saintly spiritual masters. Alas, alas. Of whom can I take shelter? So he's posing this question. Sometimes we may feel this way. Krishna Bhakti, Prema, it's very high, very elevated. Who has Krishna Prem? Who's relishing bhav? Who's completely detached from sense gratification? Who has the association of great Mahabhagavats? So one might feel, oh, alas, where shall I go? Who else shall I take shelter? Then he says, O fool, has the name Gaura Hari never entered your ears? So this is his conclusion. Yes, there is the hope. There is the shelter. Even if one doesn't have qualities, hope, association, the best friend, Sarva Suhrit, the best friend of all living entities. Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wants to bestow this highest gift. So it takes some time, some effort, some energy to meditate on the Lord. How will we get the gift if we don't acknowledge the gift giver? So these are very important principles, especially for the Sankirtan warriors here, going out every day fighting Maya. This is certainly Mahaprabhu's mercy of Nityananda. Do you want to... Now to conclude, we will just share something very extraordinary. You all have made it to the end. I congratulate you. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given some extraordinary pastime, which is quite short, but will inspire us, I think, to try to meditate a little deeper by giving us a very glorious pastime. It's actually a song. It's an astakam. It's only 8 verses, but it's revealing an extraordinary pastime called Sri Svapna Vilasamrita Ashtakam, which means Sri Svapna, sleep, pastimes, the nectarian sleep pastimes, Ashtakam. So here it says, one time, Srimati Radharani says to Krishna, "Beloved, in a dream, I saw a river shore like the Yamuna. Here, there were many expert dancers, as in Vrindavan. There were mridangas and other instruments. There was a Brahman jewel, as splendid as lightning, who was tossing the universe into an ocean of pure love. Sometimes he calls out, 'O Krishna,' and sometimes he sighs, 'O Radha, where are you?' Sometimes he falls to the ground. Sometimes he acts wildly, losing all composure, and sometimes he dances ecstatically with his loving associates. He has made all the residents of this world, from the blades of grass up to Lord Brahma, loudly call out the name of Krishna." So Radharani is seeing this in her dream. "As I gazed at him, my intelligence became bewildered. Is he my lover?" Radharani, being the internal potency, she's the beloved of Krishna. "Is he my lover? Where am I? If he is I, where's my lover? If he is my lover, where am I?" As I slept, I became more and more bewildered. Sri Krishna said, "O inquisitive girl, when I showed you Narayan and my other forms, you were not surprised. Why does this Brahman surprise you? Why does he bewilder you so? So you say, who is he?" After speaking these words to his beloved, the smiling Krishna touched his Kaustubha jewel. The jewel, understanding the Lord's intent, glowed and then showed all the same pastimes and all the moving and non-moving entities she saw in her dream. Srimati Radharani reflected for a moment and said, "Beloved, I know what is in your heart that now makes you smile. You are he. What you have said and thought is now clear to me, and therefore I think I am also he. Making this Kaustubha jewel, which is so delightful to us, shine in this way, you have revealed yourself to all living entities. By your own transcendental potency you will appear, display your pastimes, teach everyone, and again plunge the world into the ocean of pure love. In the king of Braja's presence, the learned Vedic scholar Gargacharya said you will appear with a yellow complexion. He did not lie. This dream of mine is true. It is not an illusion. In this dream I have directly seen you." And the author concludes, "If the bumblebee of the reader's mind drinks the nectar of this Svapna Vilasamrita, then that intelligent reader, we could say, or listener, will quickly awaken from the dream of materialistic doubt. Such a reader will attain Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He will sport in the ocean of pure love. He will attain the peerless mercy of the king of Vrindavan." Jai Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai. So these are meditations that are important for us because the material mind is always absorbed in modes of material nature. The atmosphere around us, which is product of the modes of nature, which is not sat. Asato ma sadgama. Our consciousness is normally absorbed in illusion. We're identifying with matter. We're identifying with this body. That's what makes life difficult. It's not the situations. It's our consciousness is absorbed in bodily identification. So by the mercy of the holy name, we start to realize I have a completely different existence. This what gives one the tolerance to tolerate all of the difficulties of material life, all of the difficulties even of life as a devotee, the ashram difficulties with other living beings. It's not easy to live a life of renunciation. If it's a spiritual conception of life, it can become very simple, because we don't have to identify all of the trauma. Materialistic life is a trauma for the soul. So if there's a spiritual conception and a spiritual meditation, then it can be overcome. Otherwise we get too invested, we become too absorbed in small petty things. They just sap our consciousness, take our absorption away from Krishna. So the holy name is the agent, or the form of the Lord, which delivers one from Maya, right? Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it dispels the ignorance of the soul. So this is what happened to Brahma, and this, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, can happen to us also. So I'll just stop here. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Please forgive me for shortcomings, and I speak about high topics. I know I don't have much realization, but I beg your blessings that we try to realize some of these high topics. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We'll take maybe a few quick questions if we have time. Did you want to say something? That's a prayer. It's called the Ashtakam. It's 8 verses by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. It's its own prayer. Yeah. Prabhu, you're coming and giving your darshan. Do you have anything to add, or are you just swooping in for the conclusion? Okay. We need a mic. Quickly. Back to mic. It's got to warm up. Go ahead. You can just ask. Okay. Shh. She's just going to ask her question. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the nice class. I was just thinking, the last point you mentioned, how it's traumatic for us to be here in the material world, for us being spirit souls. Does it actually mean that if we just chant, will it be enough to counteract any kind of experiences we had and we are having? Will it be enough? Doesn't mean we don't have to do anything else?
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I'm speaking for myself. It's traumatic. You all may be on a higher platform. So, yes, actually the holy name is so powerful that if by the Lord's mercy of great devotees and the internal potency, one can enter samadhi, then actually there's no recollection, there's no experience of material life, material world. One is completely aloof, because in the perfected state, even your subtle body dissolves. So actually one will be free from, yes, we often think, I'm so contaminated, I'm so sinful. How could I go back to Goloka Vrindavan? What would I do there? I just make trouble. It was a very big fear. But then I read, and also it's explained in Bhāgavatam, that your entire subtle and gross material body is completely dissolved. And when you enter the Leelas, it's explained that it's basically you forget, you're not even conscious of material existence at all. It's like it never happened. So, of course, Krishna can, if Krishna wills, if it's favorable for the Lord's service, then, the soul actually develops a certain degree of unhindered knowledge, chit. So, if Krishna desires, then of course great acharyas, they can have knowledge of the material world and things like this. But it's not something we have to worry about. The holy name is completely independent and supremely powerful, and it without a doubt can give one the complete mercy enter the spiritual world without having any traumatic memories. It's not like I have my trauma from my childhood. I have to carry it around in Goloka Vrindavan. Nothing like that. Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Bol.
I was going to say about that, I was thinking about, I mean, obviously Valmiki is one example of someone who's so sinful, and just by chanting the names of Ram, he actually became a pure devotee who actually wrote the Ramayana. That's pretty far out.